start, everybody.
We are live. Oh, you want to do it, Drew? You want to do it this week?
We are live. That's right, Juice. It is a Royal Rumble weekend. A lot have descended upon Indianapolis, Indiana. We are coming to you live from our humble abodes right now. I will be headed to Dallas, Texas, to the Cosm to watch a once-in-a-lifetime viewing experience of the WWE Royal Rumble. Hopefully, this is a regular thing. I will be with Blake Mitchmore. There'll be over 300 WWE fans in what they call a globe, kind of like a sphere-like atmosphere. I'm looking forward to it. The world is ready for the WWE Royal Rumble. Over 64,000 people are ready for the actual event on Saturday. We're ready. We're going to break it down. We're going to talk predictions. We're going to talk maybe some surprise entrants. We're going to talk about Triple H. He's going into the Hall of Fame, and we're going to talk whatever Juice wants to talk. So let's get right into it, Juice. I am fired up. I'm ready to go. How about yourself?
Yeah. I'm pretty fired up, man. I mean, this time of year, selfishly, is my favorite time of year. My birthday happens at the end of the month. You get the conference championship games. You get the Royal Rumble. You're ready to go to wrestle. Like, everything's happening in these last couple of weeks. And I will be watching from here, the remote, watching the Royal Rumble. But look, of all the events to watch at home, this is probably the best one. So I have no problem watching it at home.
So I've been to many Royal Rumbles.
I've been to one.
Yeah. Okay. I've been to many. Let's see. I've been to 1, 2, 3, 4. I've been to at least 6. And the one that is my
humble brag, Drew.
My favorite would probably be, I think it's the 08 Royal Rumble from Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the best ones of all time.
But I will tell you this, to your point, right? Watching at home. That's why we're talking about this. I've been to enough Royal Rumbles, both in arenas and then stadiums and ballparks, to where I agree. This is the best event to watch at home, but 64,000 people are disagreeing with us, and I don't blame them. But I will tell you this, for my money, unless you were in the first, 2 rows of the Royal Rumble on the floor, which now they cost a pretty penny.
Oh my God.
It's best served at home. I cannot wait. This is my favorite event of the year. It is. And I know we're in January, but WrestleMania is everyone's favorite. This is my favorite PLE throughout the whole year. There's so much unpredictability, even though people are like, this person can win it, that person can win it, the surprise entrance. Now there's a women's rumble, which we've had for, I think, over, like 6-7 years now, which has been great because the women at times are doing better work than the men. But I will say I'm excited to watch this event from the Cosm. I really am. There's only one in Dallas. There's only one in LA. That's it. I'd love to catch a football game there soon when my Jets maybe are relevant. But I will say,
I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I'm going to say the Royal Rumble is something I am very much looking forward to. Do you know that the Cosm, I feel like I work for them, the Cosm has their own camera crews, their own production crews inside each and every one of these events that they do, the stadiums for football, all this other stuff. It's crazy.
So I was first alerted to the Cosm from Colin Cowherd, and he was watching. Well, he was watching. He showed a video, and it was crazy. It was the Thursday night game between the Browns and the Steelers that was in the snow globe. That's what they call it, the snow globe game.
Yeah.
The video, if you can search it out on his Twitter, it's amazing to watch. And it's live, and it's showing. It's the back of the end zone when Calvin Austin catches that ball in the back of the end zone for the Steelers, and it happens, and then he's like, "Wow!" But it looks as if you're sitting on the goalpost watching the game. Like, no, it's unbelievable. So I can't believe what it would be like for the Rumble. You're gonna be green shirt guy.
I'm going to be right. That's the thing, right? I'm going to be there. I'm going to be at the Cosm. Make sure you follow below. I will have all of your updates. They are allowing me to take video. They're allowing me to have a live stream there for a little bit. We'll make some predictions, myself and Blake. Maybe we'll get some people to give their predictions, some of the people that are at the Cosm. But I'm going to give you a firsthand look. This is the first event that WWE is doing inside the Cosm in Dallas, and yours truly will be there. So make sure you guys keep it locked to my Twitter handle, my X handle, and we'll get you all locked and loaded for the Royal Rumble down in Indy.
That's right. And you were talking about, before we get into any of this, just the Royal Rumble in general, WrestleMania has built itself as its own brand now, right? So the Royal Rumble, though, as if you want to call everything else just separate PLEs, the Royal Rumble stands above the rest because it sells itself on matches that are random. It's not one guy and one guy, and who's going to win. Well, there's so much more unpredictability than a traditional wrestling match.
Oh, this is this is the most unpredictable matches to both of them. The men's and women's Rumble are the most unpredictable matches in WWE. Yeah, and you get two of them. This Rumble, especially for me, we're going to get into our previews and predictions again. That Juice Robinson, Juice Springsteen, right? I like to call you Juice Robinson as a rib. That is Juice Springsteen.
I mean, look, he just had to, take the name. I liked him when he was CJ Parker, but
right. Myself at Juice Springsteen, at Juicy Steen, I'm at Andrew Baydala. But it's interesting, right? The Royal Rumble this year, so much is about, as always, is the Rumble matches. But for me, I'm really looking forward to that ladder match. I really am. And then they added that tag match, best 2 out of 3 falls match. That's crazy.
Yeah, I referenced this with Josh Eisenberg on the Juice Box the other day. It came out today. We talked about how, Royal Rumble 2011 was different. They had 40 guys in that Rumble, but they only had 4 matches on that card. And that was almost 15 years ago. It's far away from this new regime of every PLE is 5 to 6 matches. So you're getting a 4-match card. It's going to be concise. You're going to have room to breathe with 2 out of 3 falls in 1 match, a ladder match, and then you're probably bookending the nights with the women's and men's Rumbles. So, I mean,
for sure,
money's worth.
I think
2.5, 3 hours. It's going to be a wild, quick ride.
Yeah, I think the women open. I think DIY and Motor City Machine Guns, and then we have Cody, Kevin, and then I think the men's will close. So it'll be interesting. And I'm going to say this, we'll get into it, but whoever loses that ladder match, if they're not like taken out on a stretcher, I think they enter the Rumble.
Right. Okay. I mean, I don't necessarily anticipate it being Cody. You couldn't possibly. We'll get there, but you couldn't possibly think that. Okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
All right. So we talked a little Cosm, but I mean, but to close that out, are they doing the Rumble at the Cosm in the LA venue as well? Or are they only doing it in this Dallas one, to your knowledge?
That's a good question. I know that when I looked, and
it's the first time they're doing it in general at the Cosm, right? It's the first event, regardless of location for WWE. Yeah.
And okay, it looks like it is at LA.
Okay.
But it looks like it's a Royal Rumble sneak peek, which I don't know what that means at the one in LA. The one in Dallas.
You only get the pre-show and then you don't get to watch the race.
But the one in Dallas, I will be there for, obviously. Would love to see some people there too. I know both are sold out in the actual dome itself, which is, absolutely nuts. And I was nice enough to be given the front row, so I appreciate that. I think Blake worked that out.
You were nice enough? You mean they were nice enough?
Right. But I'm saying whatever happened. But it's interesting. There's 3 different levels, and it's going to be such an interesting experience. So I'm looking forward to it. But I don't know what the deal is with the LA stuff. The only thing I know is that they're doing the Rumble there. It says a 1-hour preview. And then I know that they are 100% doing the chamber in both locations. But it seems like, let's see if
you think they would do. I mean, as long as this does marginally well, which I'm sure it'll be sold out and whatever, they'll do it for every PLE.
They're not doing the Rumble in LA because the Lakers play the Knicks at 5:30.
Oh, come on.
Well, I mean, it's Los Angeles and it's the Lakers, so makes sense.
Yeah, but it's not even the All-Star break didn't even happen yet. It's as meaningless as an episode of Raw in November.
It's a 5:30 tip-off, so you get an hour preview of the Rumble, which is very interesting in LA. Thank God, we're headed to Dallas. So
yeah, you get the whole shebang. So that'll be fun. And
I'd be pretty pissed off.
Yeah, and from what you told me, you're going to be in and out of there all within a day or so. So that'll be a fun Royal Rumble trip for you.
Yeah, jet picks me up, drops me in Dallas.
Woo!
Go to the Cosm, enjoy some adult beverages with Blake and whomever else is there, and then I'll hop right out.
A microcosm of your life.
Oh, wow.
Huh? Yeah. How about that? That's right. Blake is a big deal.
Myself and Blake will be in Dallas for the Royal Rumble. Can't wait for it. If you're there and you watch this, come say hi. Maybe I'll buy you a drink.
Yeah. Well, Drew, you're very hospitable. I feel like you know
I
you
appreciate
would give people a drink.
You've been out with me before, you know.
Oh yeah, hey, I'll trade back drinks with you. It's,
Mhm. Yeah, for
whoever
sure.
foots the bill. If I accidentally go to the bathroom and the bill ends up on your lap, it is what it is.
It's happened more than once at a Royal Rumble too. Shout out Dave Hero in Arizona. That was an insane night. So that bar bill was high.
You are the bar.
Mm.
All right. Let's we'll touch on the Rumble towards I feel like the end of the show, because that's the
Sure.
meat and potatoes here. But we've got a lot of different topics we want to kind of focus in on. I wanted to start off with this. Just today, the newest season preview of Dark Side of the Ring was released, and we have the topics. As you know, I will release them here, and we can kind of bounce off of what topics we think are going to be interesting and what have you. But season 6, which is wild, like, of course, to us, how many different stories could they tap into? But they've done so many, and we're so in depth. To me, I'm like, man, I don't know how many more they can do. Yet we have quite a bit of interesting stuff here on the docket. So, Hell in a Cell, Big Van Vader, Tony Atlas, Ludwig Borga, Billy Jack Haynes, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, Superstar Billy Graham, Daphne, the Original Sheik, and Muhammad Hassan. Drew, out of those, what stand out to you the most, and what are you looking forward to the most?
I would say for me, obviously, I think Hell in the Cell has been, talked about ad nauseum. Foley's talked about it. He gets the same question every time. He says, did it hurt when you fell off the cell and all that other stuff? So I think I'm looking forward to the Muhammad Hassan character, because the person behind the Muhammad Hassan character is a really good dude, and he's also Italian. He is not of Arabic descent at all. So it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to Daphne, because she was a unique character. And I would say
that'll probably be the saddest one of them all, because of how things transpired and how it all ended.
And I would say Ludwig Borga, because I heard he was a pistol outside of the ring. So we'll have to wait and see.
He was interesting.
What were the other topics? What was the other? What is another one?
Big Van Vader. So me, I'll be tapped into that. Tony
Atlas will be interesting. With the Vader thing, though, it's interesting, Juice, because Vader seemed, from everything that I've met Vader a couple times, but Vader seemed like, from, the stuff that I gathered and even meeting him in person, he was a really kind-hearted soul. So the character he played was nothing like what he was. So
true, but you saw him well after his prime, where he may or may not have had those, any issues that were discussed. And I've heard different stories throughout the years of him being, he was as stiff as it could be, but he knew that if he lays it in, he's expecting some back, and that's what makes it so authentic. But I'm sure they're going to touch on him in Kuwait, him and Undertaker being on that show, and the guy kind of joking with him, and Vader being pissed. So I'm sure they'll touch on that and some other stuff. You want to talk about people making it look real. Vader was one of those guys, and he's arguably my favorite super heavyweight to ever go into the squared circle.
Thank you to the producer who changed this. That was driving me nuts. We had 2 different fonts going here. It drove me absolutely nuts. It's a little thing. Sorry. That type of stuff drives me nuts, but the man behind the glass, thank you very much for that, because that was driving me nuts.
Billy Jack Haynes. So I only recall him at WrestleMania 3. So it makes me want to tune in, because I don't know as much. And for a guy that knows a lot about wrestling, I could always learn more.
That's the funny thing about I would say the good thing about Dark Side of the Ring is there's some things that I'm like, okay. And, I don't really dig the dirt in professional wrestling is not really my thing, but I like to hear the backstories, and I like to hear kind of the stars who actually lived it, opinions. I love sitting under the learning tree with stuff like that. Not Chris Jericho's learning tree, but the learning tree.
Hi, guys.
Right. I love doing that type of stuff, because that's stuff that normal people don't get to do. So, I'm not here for all the rumor and bullshit. I'm here to learn and grow my knowledge of what I've been told. So
absolutely. Yeah. Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. So he was
that'll be good.
Florida. Yeah. He was huge in
big
Florida.
Time. Didn't he have didn't he have a program with Dusty for a little bit?
I have to tune into Dark Side of the Ring. I'm sure he did if he was in Florida. I don't know if he was in Mid-South at all, but Superstar Billy Graham, Superstar Billy Graham is a legendary character in pro wrestling.
I think Superstar Billy Graham was ahead of his time. Like, truthfully, I mean, he was polarizing and everything else like that. But I mean, could you imagine Superstar Billy Graham in the late 80s, early 90s, like mid 90s and stuff like that?
He'd have been on top. Yeah, he would have absolutely been on top. And then, of course,
he was on top then, but.
Well, right. But it wasn't the golden age. Right. You know, he could have been even at a higher level. Yeah. We mentioned Daphne, and I have a soft spot for her being in the late stages of WCW with Crowbar and David Flair, and her just being, you know, just screaming the whole time, and the chaos that lends itself to the late stage
unique character.
WCW. Yeah, for sure. And then the original Sheik, who isn't that Sabu's father?
I believe so. Yes.
So there's definitely going to be some interesting stories there that I'm sure we'll be interested to dive into. And then the Muhammad Hassan, as you said, I mean, you want to talk about the ascent of a character to all of a sudden be taken away because of real life events that had nothing to do with him, all because of an unfortunate taping. Like the timing of all of it could not have been worse for him when he was really ascending as a character. And
also, I think Sabu,
even if the booking was in somewhat bad faith. Oh, okay, his uncle. Excuse me. Yeah. I knew he was in the family. I got that incorrect. But then Muhammad Hassan, I believe now, isn't he a school teacher now? He's one of the more successful stories in wrestling too. So it'll show a really difficult side, which is what 20 years ago now, 2005 that happened.
Like I said, Muhammad Hassan's a good. Yeah, he's a good dude. And I will say that. For me, you know, I'll be looking forward to the Sheik. I'll be looking forward to Muhammad Hassan. I'm also looking forward to, which was announced a couple, weeks ago, Sabu's retirement match for GCW, which I was not a fan of the past pay-per-view besides a couple segments here or there or matches here or there. It just wasn't for me. But I will tell you, I will tune in to see Sabu's retirement match against Joey Janela. Yeah,
my dad was Sabu for Halloween one year, and I was LSD, Little Spike Dudley.
Okay.
Hey, we watched ECW when I was 6.
That explains a ton.
I know. Yeah, I know. I can relate. You know what? And the great transition, I can relate with people that loved ECW in its heyday. So let's talk about someone who
I watched ECW.
Okay, well, okay, then that explains a lot.
Well, but I think I'm also 10 years older than you, Juice.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is it was more impressionable to a youth like me who
you shouldn't be watching ACW at 8 years old, Juice.
Yeah, well, my dad was a great guy to put me on to good wrestling.
I'm not dogging on your dad. I'm just saying.
Juice Senior put me on to good wrestling back in the day. There you go. But speaking of someone who is involved with somewhat of an ECW flair, who puts a lot of it into his product these days, some might call him in the weeds this week, Tony Khan. So we'll kind of put this with some dynamite from the other night, but really one of the most recent episodes of Collision happened pretty much across social media for once. Critical acclaim. A lot of fans really were involved and loved it. Thought it was
Collision was a really good episode.
And then some went maybe a little too far or was really high on it and said it might have been better than Saturday night's main event. Be that as it may, a report came out, and of course it's all opinion, so you could say however good you think it is, that Tony Khan, quote unquote, was more in the weeds recently in regards to creative. So I'll ask you this, Drew. When would Tony Khan not be, quote unquote, in the weeds? Isn't he booking and hasn't he always been creatively involved for, I don't know, the entirety of AEW? What makes one solid episode of Collision kind of turn that narrative, in your opinion?
I don't know. That's like me saying that, the 3 phones that I have for business that I'm not plugged in, I'm not connected. Like when I saw the report, I was just like, what? What are we talking about here? It seemed like and I get it. Like it's smart to a certain extent, like PR wise, but for me, it's like, okay, we had a good episode. A lot of people were raving about some segments, and so Tony's in the weeds. Okay. Now, a lot of people are dogging on Dynamite, and we haven't seen a report about anything, which is fine. I get it. But I mean,
he got lost in the weeds. He must have couldn't get his way out.
But I just don't get that. I don't understand the whole premise there. Like, for me, and I've said this on my social media, If you love me or hate me, just react. I don't care. So a lot of people hate me. A lot of people think I'm an idiot.
Oh, come on. Well,
which is great. I don't care because you're still watching the videos. You're still commenting on the videos, and that's fine. But, you got to take the good with the bad. That's what comes with it. And if you are going to put yourself out there on social media, you need to understand that you are going to get ridiculed and you need to be okay with it. Otherwise, keep yourself off camera. You have to be comfortable with people.
Yes.
You have to be comfortable with people just completely obliterating you and they don't even know you. It's the craziest thing. And it's the stupidest thing, but it is what it is. And you have to accept it and understand it, move on from it. Otherwise, don't do this. And for me, why I say that is whether good or bad, you need to be acceptance of criticism. So Dynamite yesterday was not good, in my opinion. And Tony Khan was in the weeds more, I guess, on Saturday, but there's no report today. And to me, it's kind of like when I saw it, I was just like, what else would he be doing? Of course he's in the weeds. And if
I hope he's in the weeds.
And if he's not, then that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden, it's like people realize, oh, maybe we had a really good episode. Let's capitalize on it by saying that Tony Khan was more involved to give him less pressure or less criticism about the product. But that, again, when literally the next episode of TV for them is panned by a lot of people, including hardcore AEW fans.
You know how fickle the fan base is. And I say this because for me, it's like, if you love something so much, why do you consistently make fun of it? Why? Well, if you love something so much, why do you consistently make fun of it? And people are like, well, I'm not allowed to be critical. You are, but just because you have a USB microphone and a camera and everything else doesn't make you an expert. It doesn't make you a senior analyst. It makes you just another guy or a girl with a camera and a microphone. And 2020 put a lot of people on the internet that should never be on the internet. Okay. But I will say this, I think Tony should 1000% come out on Dynamite or Collision and say, I am no longer heading creative. Somebody else is. Name somebody and watch the immediate response. Thank God Dynamite's the best. And lo and behold, Tony's still doing all the creative because it would just show how fickle some of you knuckleheads are, truthfully.
You raised your voice to a comedic pitch there. That was interesting.
With what?
Oh, just how you were like, oh, thank God Tony Khan's not doing creative
there
anymore.
We go. Tony's out. He's gone. Thank you, Jesus. Like AEW will now be the best thing since sliced bread. And meanwhile, Tony's sitting there big time in the weeds, just writing everything.
Still in the weeds.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, he's going to be behind the scenes doing it anyway. And how you say, fans.
Why wouldn't he? He put all of this money into this and you just expect
it's his baby.
Funny. Right. And whether good, bad, or indifferent, you could get help and you should. He should take criticism. He should take advice from the legends, Dustin Rhodes.
And he has so many. He has such a roster to tap into.
Taz, whomever else you want to name that they have there. Like I said, Dustin, Taz, Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn, whomever you want to talk about. Take some advice, take some criticism, maybe go this way or that way with storylines, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's his baby. He put all that money into it. Vince had to be forced out to get out. Vince was very much in the weeds consistently because it's his baby.
Absolutely.
All the guys and girls that want this and that to happen, go get or go make. I don't care because his dad gave it to him. All right, then go find. I hope your father is rich, or I hope you can make enough money to make your kid rich and go start your own company. I was going to curse, but I stopped myself. Go start your own company. All right, stop complaining and go do something about it.
And you made another good point, which I just find it interesting. Like, why, when, if you're a fan of AEW, like, why are you so doom and gloom about it? I think there's a way to be passionate about the product and be upset because you think it could be better, but that doesn't mean, that means constructive criticism. I don't like this, and here's how I would fix it, or how maybe they should change something. Not, I hate it, everything's terrible. Why is Tony Khan doing this? He should sell the company. AEW's in the mud. WWE forever. Like, it's downhill.
Yeah, it's funny to me how, like, a lot of these big time, YouTubers and everything else like that, and even some of the smaller ones, like this is not directed at JD from NY, okay? But I will tell you that a lot of these big, YouTubers and even smaller size, whatever, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 followers, subscribers, whatever, would immediately shut down their channels to go work for AEW or WWE. And they would just sit there and they would walk on eggshells and they'd be like, tight assed and they'd, yes, sir. And that would
And
be it.
We talked about that last week. It's like you would critique
They
something
scream
to the nth degree, but as soon as there would be an opening, you'd walk right in and go, yes, sir, Mr. Tony Khan. I'm right along with you. I will go in the weeds with you.
I thought that whole weed stuff was ridiculous. Like when I saw the reports and I understood what it was good PR. And everyone would be like, well, there's no such thing as bad PR. To me, this immediately cracked open the door for them to be like, as soon as they had a bad week, well, is Tony in the weeds in this one too? And it's like, well, yeah, Tony should be in the weeds every week. And to answer this question, I've answered it like 7,000 times.
Drew, I've never actually heard your response. I don't know your stance here. Let me hear it for the first time ever.
So me and JD had conflicting schedules and it just wouldn't work. There was also some difference on creative direction in terms of like how I viewed and how he viewed the show going forward, in terms of I wanted to get and he wanted to get to a certain place, and that's where it was. But my work schedule was becoming something where I couldn't do Tuesdays. It felt at that point that JD wanted to go a certain direction with the time and really wasn't willing to jump off to another time, and we just mutually agreed to part ways. I had fun with JD. It was the yin and the yang. I don't agree with 95% of the crap that he puts on, but it is what it is, and I have a ton of respect for his platform and what he's been able to achieve. But we're just two different people. And I talked to JD. A lot of these idiots online would be shocked that I talk to have, me and JD do talk. It's just, he has his ways. I have mine. He has his views and I have mine, and we're both adults, and I listen and he listens, and then that's it. We go our separate ways. We're not doing shows together anymore.
That's allowed, Drew. People
we're
don't
adults.
Think that can happen, but it can. If you're civil and a normal human being, you can hash out anything. God, Blake.
I heard it's because you don't have something against short, but that's right. I don't have something against short people.
Well, that's right. Good. Well, if you had a little bit more hair, you'd even be taller, though, Drew. You'd be really towering over folks.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I'm tall enough. I would love to be a couple inches taller because I'd probably be playing, professional something right now. But I'm 6'3". I'm okay where I'm at. But you know what? It is what it is. Blake, you can't fix your comment. The producer's saying there's a new comment. I'm not putting it up. So yeah, I listened. You know what? I wish him nothing but the best, but it wasn't working out,
Yeah.
And for the people who said it's because I need my media passes, I had them while I was with JD. God. I was media credentialed for WWE, AEW, and I had previously had medias for NWA when they were doing it. But I mean, that was, that JD had nothing to do with me gaining or losing media access. I just
but you know how people love only looking optically, not actually diving in, not actually asking questions and getting real answers from, people that were there,
dude, right?
They just make assumptions.
There was somebody going back and forth with me on the comments yesterday, and it was like, it's because you don't want. JD tells it like it is, and I wanted to write back like, do you really want me to just tell JD to heart your tweet because that's what you want? Like, JD, hurry up and like this guy's tweet so you can get his holy shit. Look, my buddy, my best friend, just liked my tweet. Like my idol.
Did he tag him?
I think so.
Okay, well, maybe he would see it, or maybe if that guy was too much of an annoyance,
I am still on the payroll.
Oh yeah, Mr. Eminent's always on the payroll.
I'm on both payrolls, baby.
6'3" and want to be taller. I'm 5'6". Oh man, yeah. I mean, you guys had a great little program there. I tuned in. I still tune in. I still watch. It's crazy. Like, again, there's tribalism no matter what you do in whatever walk of life there is. And if people are entertaining, they're entertaining. Just because you guys were on different wavelengths doesn't mean you guys have to hate each other. Like, that's perfectly normal.
Do you know how many people want the show back? And
I see a lot of people say that.
Yeah, and then there's people on his platform that can't stand me, but that's the whole point. That's the whole point of the show. If you liked my takes more than his, then maybe I was getting through to a different side of you that you never knew existed. I don't do bash content. I don't hate. I don't wish for any company's demise. I wish all of the YouTubers, good, bad, indifferent, all of the wrestling promotions, good, bad, or indifferent, success. Do I like GCW? It's not my cup of tea. Do I want them to close? No,
it's insane.
I don't. Just like when CZW was in business and XPW was in business, I didn't want them to close. I just didn't watch. I didn't watch.
No, you have to hate everybody that doesn't agree with you, Drew. That's how this world works in 2025. Don't you understand that?
I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't care enough.
Yeah.
If you're in this line of work, you have to understand you're going to be 100% hit with criticism. Accept it. People are going to hate you. Accept it. If you're not okay with it, you're not comfortable with it, get out now.
Yeah, there's also a block button, a mute button.
Sure.
Comments. You can comment on people's stuff and never acknowledge their, the dirt that they want to put out on you. Like there's so many ways to just avoid acknowledging people that are just detrimental, negative all the time. No positive, constructive criticism, like people that are just hating to hate because their lives are negative. So they have to put it out on the internet and, drag people down with them. It doesn't mean you have to acknowledge it or listen to it or respond to it, and that's actually
Dylan talks football.
Those people too.
Yeah. Dylan talks football. I personally still watch you both. I really enjoy the let's stay calmness of your content. Yeah. I mean, I don't need to just sit back and yell. I can't see what this one says.
While I very much enjoyed you on JD's show, I think Monster is great as well. Have you tuned into any of their recent shows?
I watched like the first episode that I wasn't on when he became the permanent host, and then I watched an episode where what was it? They were talking about the media rights deal, and I like Jason. Immense amount of respect for Jason. Good dude. I just think they're very, very similar. Besides, JD is a little bit more loud, and Solid Monster is a little bit more reserved, but they're the same person. The same thing goes with like I think Jesse is, I have nothing but, I wish him the best for him and his family, but for me, it's a pass. So
yeah, well, lo and behold, you're now stuck with me doing this show. So I
don't consider this stuck. So.
Oh, good. That's right. Wow. What a nice thing to hear. Week 4, baby. We got some positivity.
I don't do anything I don't want to do. So this is something I look forward to. And yeah, like I said, I'm happy that all those people are in indie creating content, making money, having fun, making connections.
You should be allowed to do whatever shows you want. They should be allowed to do whatever shows they want. And you guys could do shows together if you wanted. All of these things should be allowed to happen. And you guys can talk about it or not talk about it. Like it's up to you, the people actually involved.
I've had people ask me to come on their show and they're like, hey, we'll pay you. Don't get me wrong.
My God.
I appreciate it, but I'm not taking your
money.
You're
already on the payroll.
Right. Well, I'll just pop in and say hello and we can have a question or a comment or something. And then I'll pop out, but it's, it is what it is. What are my thoughts on Sean Ross Sapp? I think Sean does really good work. I think Sean is probably the most credible person in the industry right now in terms of like reporting news accurate.
Yeah.
And Sean has always been good to me, and Sean's a friend of mine. So, I know a lot of people have issues with Sean or don't like Sean. I think a lot of people want to be Sean.
I put that in the, not to compare the two directly, but that's the same type of space of like Tony Khan, where you wish you had his platform, you wish you had his followers, you wish you had his access,
work harder, but work harder. I see a lot of people
to get there, man. It's not that it is hard, but like it's not that hard if you apply yourself.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to be Sean. I think a lot of people want to be Tony. I think a lot of people want to be, Tony doesn't get the same. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people, who love just WWE style of booking, and I get it. Do I think WWE is white hot? Yes. Do I think the WWE booking is doing a better job right now than AEW? Yes, I do. But I will tell you that a lot of people don't come for Triple H's neck because they grew up watching him as a wrestler and have an immense amount of respect for him. And they either idolized him or they realized that he could probably kick the shit out of them. And a lot of these people talk out of their mouths big time. They talk big And it's because Tony was a fan just like them and happened to be born into a very wealthy family. And Tony now has the accessibility to all this talent. And he has a company called AEW, and some of these people can't stand it. And they believe that they could do better than Tony because they are a fan. Tony made a big mistake, in my opinion, by saying he was a fan of professional wrestling, because if he just said, I'm a businessman, this looks like a really good business opportunity for me and my family, and we're going to, seize the moment, a lot of people wouldn't be coming for him, truthfully.
And to be, and this is no knock, this is just a fact. Tony Khan's not as jacked as Triple H. And I feel like a lot of people go, little man running this big company with a lot of money. I'm better than him. I'm bigger than him. I wish I had the same money as him. He doesn't deserve that. I do. And it's like, okay, well.
Yeah. And for me, it's
like. You're not there. Sorry.
And you want to know what? Like, for me, like, I feel like, and I think Tony needs a bad guy. And I'm talking about a bad guy that represents the company. And I'm not saying like he has to be bad or she has to be bad all the time, but Tony should be the one that is leading from afar, in my opinion. And you should hire somebody, bring somebody in. He doesn't have to, or she doesn't have to be someone who's formerly in the wrestling business, but just be the mouth. Hey, this is what we want to do. Okay. Like, all right, why? Well, this is what the boss wants, and this is what we're going to do. And some people are like, well, can I talk to him? And then go ahead, go talk to Tony, just like they would do with Vince.
I was going to say almost to a Vince extent of like, sure, this is a good idea, but let's just run it by Tony. Like, Tony's the last step. And that doesn't mean that he would act the same way as Vince and shoot down everything other than, what he wants. But it'd be nice to get a start of any creative, and then it just goes through the filter of Tony. And I think as a fan, that would actually benefit those asking him to put stuff on the air, because he might be more lenient and more willing to attempt things.
Yeah, and I don't know the hierarchy there. I don't know any of that type of stuff either. We're all this is all hearsay, so I don't know. So, but I think that Tony gets a lot of grief for no reason, and I've said that for a while. And Tony's a good dude to me. He's very, very friendly, and he's been nothing but respectful. So I have an immense amount of respect for him as well. And I'm not currently employed by AEW, but I will say that I will say that Tony, Tony makes himself readily accessible to people that he wants to make himself available to. So it is what it is.
Yeah. If it's not you, work harder.
Yeah. I'm sorry you don't like Sean. Sorry you don't like me. Sorry you don't like whoever else. I don't do the stuff Sean does, and Sean doesn't do the stuff I do. And that's, we're friends outside of this thing. And realistically, like, if you don't like him, it's probably because, you want to be him, or you had an issue with him and he completely nuked you on X. It happens.
That's always fun to see people that try to attempt, and it's just like, you're never going to get anywhere. Like, you're always
wouldn't. Yeah, Sean's got a different way about going about things, and I've told him it's not the way that I would do things, but that's Sean, and Sean's that good for him. Sean's not a character on my show. Sean's not a character on this show. So I'm not going to, make Sean out to be something or try and get over on the expense of Sean or anything, because that's just not what you do. You don't try and get over at the expense of other people.
Absolutely. I mean, I've never even met the guy, but like, what I've seen seems to be like, he does his job very well. And I mean, I can respect that at first and foremost, let alone any sort of personal interactions. But I've heard it from you, and I've heard, from other people. He seems, more down to earth, and like, he just runs a huge wrestling journalism site, like reporting. Like, it's not going to be easy. And there's always hurdles. There's always controversy. There's things that you got to do to keep that machine running. So I respect that immensely. So
yeah,
but not everybody can.
No, Sean's got a lot of pressure. So
that's right. But he does what he's got to do.
Yep.
Speaking of doing what they got to do, they did it. Triple H going to the Hall of Fame. This is the second time for him, because DX went in already. And the discourse, of course, is, wow, Triple H putting himself in the Hall of Fame. How humble of Triple H. But it was shown via, video. Shawn Michaels put it out there. It was like a weird little town hall thing for WWE execs and stuff. And Nick Khan's out there, and then Triple H is out there. Boom. Shawn Michaels music hits. Undertaker's music hits. And they say, it's been so long, and we think that, finally it's time for the game solo to get in, like by yourself, into the Hall of Fame. And Triple H, seemed genuinely humbled by it, like, reverse of what other people might say. He looked surprised, humbled by it. And I'll put it to you, like, if not now, when do you do this? The longer you wait, you get into all these different issues, and he's already had health issues. He already, has had it hard enough, and now he's literally running the company. And if you don't have any other solid headliners, you do Triple H this year, and it's never done again. You knew he was eventually going to get in, so I don't see any sort of reason to detract against it. He deserves it. He probably fought against it, whether you want to believe that or not, and people were like, well, Vince never even put himself in, because he said he didn't want to do it. And Triple H didn't want to probably put himself in, but people higher than him said, we're putting you in. And do you think he's going to just decline that? I don't think so. So Drew, Triple H in the HOF, well-deserved. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's 100% well-deserved. His singles run is Hall of Fame worthy, by itself. The DX stuff obviously was there, both iterations of DX. But for me, Triple H is the first ballot Hall of Famer. He deserves it. I don't care if he's the head of creative. Who gives a shit? I don't care if he's the COO. Who gives a shit? He was a wrestler before this, a very popular wrestler who is like one of the best, if not the best heels in the business. Triple H is absolutely somebody who should be in the Hall of Fame, and he should be there. He should be going in with wheels on. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, and if by some chance they eventually induct, well, Orton will get in, Batista will be a headliner, then they could do Evolution, and then Triple H would be a 3-time Hall of Famer, Flair would be a 3-time Hall of Famer. So I always just find that interesting. As as time goes on, certain groups make it in, and I don't know. I think it's a good move to do it now, so he can kind of get it out of the way, have his little moment, and then focus on running this, machine to heights we, haven't seen in a very long time. Speaking of, I want to pivot to this NXT, MSG, where this is the all acronym show here on Drew and Juice this week, but NXT going to MSG the day after Raw. So March 11th, I believe it's been reported that they're running MSG. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, NXT got to go to the 2300 Arena. Aren't they going to the same venue that AEW just ran in Cincinnati as well?
They are.
So they're bouncing around. Look out. Maybe NXT will go to Daly's place next. You never know what's going to happen. So I don't think MSG.
I think it's going to be money, but you never know.
No. Well, TK's in the weeds. He doesn't even know what's happening. So thoughts on NXT going to MSG, DREW?
I LOVE it because you want to know what I mean. NXT at MSG, the theater, is a smart call. I was there for Dane Cook a couple times, and that was before Dane kind of like blew up and actually sold out the Garden. So for me, right. I love it. It's a smart call. They're already going to be there. You just have to set up a ring, an extra, lighting, staging, rigging. Maybe it's already there. Maybe it's a permanent fixture there, the lighting and the rigging. So for me, I could dig it. And I think it's a smart call. I'd love to see NXT. I love that NXT is going to these more intimate, smaller venues, kind of like what AEW is doing with Dynamite and Collision for the most part. So for me, it makes a lot of sense. AEW, I think, fully understands they are not Raw or SmackDown. They're not getting the stadium sellouts. We'll have to wait and see what they do at Globe Life. It seems like they'll do over 20,000. I think that they'll eclipse their record, which is I want to say it's like 21,000 or something at Grand Slam at Arthur Ashe Stadium. I think they'll beat that. But again, AEW is not going to Indy and selling 66,000 tickets right now. That's just a fact. And AEW, WWE, is in a different stratosphere. And Indy has showed up and showed out. And it's the smart thing. WWE and Indianapolis needed to make a great first impression. And this is one of them because they're headed back for SummerSlam. And they're headed back for WrestleMania. So I think it's smart on NXT to piggyback of the already traveling production crew that is going to be at MSG if they are going to go to the theater. So, yeah.
So just to bounce off that, to kind of go into some more AEW, because you brought some of that up. AEW, having, I think, 25,000 at Globe Life would be a really nice number to have.
Sure.
It might not be what they initially intended, but if they set it up for something like that, I think that'll be a success and it'll look solid. I'm looking forward to just the presentation of it at a baseball field for something that's not WWE. I've been to I've been to TNA house shows at minor league baseball stadiums, and I always thought that was a unique thing. We saw the Royal Rumble.
Was that Global Force Wrestling when they did that?
No, this was still TNA.
TNA,
like 2012, 13, and 14.
Okay.
So so that was always interesting. And then WWE more recently did a couple Rumbles at Minute Maid Park. So like they've done some baseball stadiums. I really want someone to go to PNC Park. I think we had this conversation before. It's just such a beautiful venue. Why?
Yeah, Pittsburgh in January. Sounds like a real
No, I didn't say for the Rumble.
What do you think?
For anything.
Any SummerSlam? They
maybe
can't.
SummerSlam.
I don't think they could. Number one, number
maybe,
two.
Maybe AEW will go there then.
SummerSlam, that's a possibility. WWE SummerSlam has outgrown ballparks. The Royal Rumble has pretty much outgrown ballparks as well.
It's going to stadiums,
Yeah, the Rumble's going to be, next year's in Saudi, I believe, right?
Oh, yeah. And I think that they might try out the 2-night thing there, too, because
we've talked about that, but yeah.
I
could see it.
So the 25,000 I wouldn't hate for AEW All In. And you mentioned how, they're not doing stratosphere numbers like WWE. In fact, they've dialed back a show, Grand Slam Australia, that's been the talk of a lot of concern and criticism. Now it's in a smaller venue and there's still tickets available. And they're saying that there's like deals now for like 2-for-1 deals on tickets and stuff. You brought up before, whether it's on this show or not, but you brought up like, why couldn't the prices maybe be more affordable from the jump? Why couldn't some of these deals happen from the start? And this show in general, man, it comes off that they had a huge plan for it, a huge deal. It's in Australia, their first time ever. It's got a branding of Grand Slam that they've put forth a lot of equity in when it's been in New York. And now it seems relegated to whatever is left of the audience from the NBA All-Star festivities, buried on a Saturday night. And it's just annoying to me. I wish they would treat it a little bit more care and make it seem like it's a bigger deal. To me, it should be. It's a new continent. It's a new country you're going out there for. And I'm sure they'll have a great time and those fans will go back again. But for the home viewer, I want them to go as high as they can in another country.
Yeah, listen, I think that this was something that, really they were trying to swing for the fences and it didn't pan out. And I'm hoping for the best with Grand Slam, but it doesn't seem like it's got the publicity or the desire to want to be like a major show with AEW right now because of what happened. I don't know that to be a fact, but when you have to move from a stadium to arena, I think maybe some of the enthusiasm went out the window with it too. So who knows?
Well, even though Jay White's going to get a shot at the world title, and I know you're a big fan of that.
Huge fan. I like Jay White a lot. So I just want to make that very, very obvious. But I don't fully understand why we need to have Jay White in a world title match just because it's, Australia. For me, it's like, all right, let's do something else. I don't have an 8-man tag. That works for me. The Jay White versus Moxley just for Moxley to beat him in Australia doesn't make any sense to me. And
it's not going to forward anything.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, where do we go from here afterwards? At least with the 8-man, Jay could say he has some sort of alliance. He's a hometown guy with, rated FTR or that's what it is, right?
Right.
Rated FTR.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
he'll probably lose. It'll be a fun match, and then they'll get beaten down, and then Cope will come out and save him or something, and then that'll lead to your potential revolution match that we talked about with Cope versus Mox potentially. But I think the Kyle Fletcher Ospreay interaction, that tag match is probably going to be more over, for lack of a better term, than what's going to happen with a main event with a guy from there. Ospreay and Omega as a tag team, I think is going to be wonderful and probably the most, hyped match of the whole show. And it's just not even going to be, well, it might, I don't know. Could it be the main event? You can't put your main event, with the world title not last, especially with the hometown guy, you'd think, but I don't know. I just feel like there's absolutely more juice to be squeezed with the tag match of Ospreay and Omega as tag partners. So
I like that. I like what you did there.
I do what I can here, talking pens one week, talking juice puns the next week.
Don't do that again.
Why? It was a wonderful, wonderful clip. I still haven't gotten any word from Pilot on a sponsorship deal, but the wheels are in motion.
Maybe you'll get a pilot from Pilot.
Oh, could you imagine if it's instead of Pilot, it just says Juice? That'd be cool.
Moving right
Personalized
along.
pens moving right along.
Oh God.
I'm here all day, brother.
I'm regretting this show by the minute.
Remember you said that last week. Remember how earlier in the show you were like, oh, I don't feel stuck doing this.
I'm starting.
Now, how do you feel?
I feel pretty lousy.
Speaking of lousy, let's talk a little bit more about Dynamite this past week.
Damn. Just smacked the shit out of Dynamite with that one, huh?
It was just a rough episode, man. And Hobbs seems to be injured now, so that he kind of has a pushback on his plans. I read that today that Hobbs has an injury, so I think he was going to have a match on Collision.
Who told you that?
The internet. So of course it's true. I don't have my sources. Do you want me to look up sources? You have 9 monitors.
No. I'm not a verification vigilante here.
True, but I do have a journalism degree, so I would rather cite my sources if I had them. But I
see nothing with Hobbs. But let me. How about I ask? How about that?
Oh, here we go. Let's work the griff of what who's he got in Drew's Rolodex that I can talk about as I look up the exact same information. Maybe I'll find it here. I don't know. Nothing as of more recently. Did you find anything yet?
It does seem that Hobbs
Figure 4 weekly online. Powerhouse Hobbs a legitimate injury. Planned AEW Collision match postponed.
Okay. And I DM'd.
Seemed like it was a stitches.
Yeah. I DM'd somebody and they did say that Hobbs is not cleared yet, but should be. So
they said it was stitches due to that brawl with Big Bill, which was wonderful, by the way.
Okay. So he's not like hurt. It's just something.
Well, he just has to heal up because you can't just go out there with a big zipper out there and then it gets busted open the hard way again. And
you could. Flair did it. Triple H did it.
Flair had skin made of paper. You just breathe on him and he's bleeding.
I mean, I remember all that stuff. Who else used to do it? Shawn, Angle. They all did it.
What?
Okay.
What? Blade?
No, I mean they all had stitches or staples, and they went out the next night or whenever else.
Okay, maybe in all those guys you mentioned were in a different era where they didn't really care as much as they do now.
First of all, I want to make this very clear. I'm not dogging on Hobbs or the medical team. I'm just saying.
No one said you were. I'm just saying why it's different to compare the two, Drew. You got to be able to look at the different perspective of years. Those guys did it in a time where unprotected chair shots were happening regularly. Now there's more care taken, so he's going to miss a match on Collision. That's all. Of course, there's nothing against Hobbs.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Speaking of, while we have some dead air, look at the shirt this week. Bash at the Beach 1997.
That shark looks from 1997.
And if you go on WWE Shop, they remade this shirt. It's the same. They made it again, but this is the authentic shirt. So
you're killing me.
Why? You don't want to know that information?
No.
Okay. Well, outside of Dynamite, I don't know anything else that's really to be discussed. They're just continuing the build to Grand Slam, but I don't, at some point they're going to have to start building to this pay-per-view,
Oh, for
Revolution.
Sure.
So time's running out for that too. And people are like, oh, you can't be worried about Grand Slam. It's a month away. Well, now it's like 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I never understood that logic. Like, don't worry about this. Why? Well, why wouldn't I?
Shouldn't you have plans? Like, what happens? It's going to be March 8th and you have nothing set in stone.
Right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not losing sleep over what happens or what matches are made for any company. But I mean, like,
true.
They have some sort of direction, it seems. But I mean, you would have thought there'd be more emphasis on this show, and there's just not for me. No,
not for them either, really. So, all right, let's talk a little bit of WWE, and then we'll dive into the Rumble predictions, fun topics, as it were. Let's start with the, let's give the man credit. My co-host, Drew Baydala, a couple of weeks ago, accurately predicted Clash in Paris. So they're going to do it. It's going to be the end of August. and was it Labor Day weekend?
Yes.
So lines
Smart.
right up. Yeah, it's a solid move. France killed it with Backlash. They're doing such a great job with these international shows. My only gripe is that the Eiffel Tower should have been the A in Clash, and
I saw that.
You know,
which I
they had
agree
an
with.
opportunity there, but I'm not a designer. I just have opinions. I'm an analyst. You're an opinionist. We're not designers. We don't know what we're doing.
Nope.
You know.
Nope.
I mean, just look at these graphics down here. I couldn't have come up with that. You know, I can't do it. So, what are your thoughts on Clash in Paris? I mean,
it's brilliant. WWE doesn't miss they don't miss an opportunity to make a buck. The international market is something they've been focused on here for the past 2 years, and they're continuing to hammer it. It also gives the United States customer the it's FOMO, right? They're doing that, then they go over they'll have SummerSlam, and then they go overseas, and the Money in the Bank will probably overseas. So SummerSlam is kind of the only event that you could get to outside of WrestleMania in the States. It makes a lot of sense. The international travel is always huge for Mania, and that's going to be another big aspect. So they get that, and then they could go do, Clash in Paris. It's so smart. WWE is so smart with their international business. I fully expect them to be in Japan, in Italy, and some other countries very, very shortly. But, WWE is killing the international game, and that's where a lot of money is, a lot.
And of course, it's 2025. John Cena will likely be at most of these big PLEs, especially if he's champion by the time we get there. So, I mean, those shows are going to, as if they wouldn't sell out pretty fast anyway, but the allure of John Cena's farewell tour on the marquee, I think, is going to be something that really hypes up the ticket sales and helps them out immensely, regardless if they were going to, sell out or not. I mean, that's a huge name to have on there that you normally wouldn't have had the last couple of years, especially like a guarantee. Like, you could probably say it's a safe bet that as long as he's healthy, John Cena would be at most of these PLEs, if not all of them, for the remainder of 2025. You think that's a fair assessment as long as he's healthy?
I think the big thing with John Cena to watch is, what happens on Saturday. And then if he doesn't win that, what happens at the Chamber? Because I think he'll be obviously in the Chamber if he loses the Rumble. And I do believe that, they're going to want John to be, and John's going to want to be on the international bill if they're going somewhere for Backlash, because that will be the last time John Cena is in said country. And the marketability for that will be through the roof. Not to mention, if you put John on Backlash as your world champion, you could give a guy like Cody or maybe even Roman or somebody else that tour off, because realistically John's here. So I think it's a smart move. If you go back and look at Backlash from last year, I don't think Roman was on it. Rock was definitely not on it.
No.
I don't think I'd have to go back and look, but there was somebody else who wasn't on it who was in a main. I don't think Seth was on it. So, smart.
I'll tell you in a second. Backlash France. Yeah, it was but it was a great show. Like they giving people time off is not the worst thing in the world. So they had Solo and Tama Tonga versus Orton and KO. You had Bayley, Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, Jey Uso and Damian Priest, Bianca, Jade versus Asuka and Kairi Sane, and then Cody and AJ Styles. Like, you had, it's an insulting thing to say, like the B team, but it was like guys that may not get on your main cards every month, but they get huge moments here. And that's what I think you get with your Motor City Machine Gun DIY match at Royal Rumble. They might not get a match on Saturday night's main event or a huge PLE, but this is a huge PLE, and it's one of 4 matches. It's a huge deal for those guys. So,
and they could have put Gunther in a world title match here. They're not. They did that on Saturday nights. Yeah. And they gave it to the tag titles, and good on them. We have 2 matches. Could they add another one? Sure. They would make it 3, and then the 2 Rumbles, which would be 5. I don't foresee that being the case. They could, though. Maybe Shinsuke defends the United States Championship again. I don't know.
Maybe. They only got a day to do it, though. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if it's me, I'd have Rhea defend the title, but she just did that last Saturday. So,
Yeah, and I mean, the Rumble's big enough for, those champions to kind of just come hang out in the skybox like Roman did last year, for someone to point at him and then it could take it away the following week. So we'll see what happens.
What is your
okay.
favorite spot for Italian food on Long Island? On Long Island, that would be a tough one. I'm gonna go with A&S Pork Store for like sandwiches and like stuff to grill. And that's in Oceanside on Long Island. But I would say one of my favorite restaurants on Long Island is Dario's, which is in Rockville Center. But then if you go off of Long Island and you go into like New York City-ish, I like Carbone's. But big fan of Dario's in Rockville Center.
I like this. I like Culinary Drew. This is a fun little segment. I
do love food. I do love food.
I need to clip that. I love food.
I like good food. I like really good food.
Well, yeah. Truthfully, who doesn't like good food? Would you like who likes bad food?
Yeah, no. I'm a big fan of well put together meals. For me, it's like if there's the more simplistic, the better, because sometimes you could really overpower a dish with too much. There's a lot of flavor and love that go into dishes, but for me, like if it's, I don't know, there's nothing better than like a good meal and a good glass of red wine for me. So,
yeah, specifically with Italian too. That's like a perfect pairing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've taken so long, and now we're here. Royal Rumble coming up a couple of days. First, I want to touch on this. Yeah, Drew could be. Well, look, payroll Drew does not go cheap. It's go big or go home for Drew. And Blake, you're in for it this weekend, pal. You got one day with him. You're gonna be.
Hey, you know what?
Your wallet's gonna be empty.
I was very nice with Blake because I said, hey, you know what I want to do when I get off the plane, and he said, what? So I want you to take me in and out. He's like, okay. He's like, all right, I'll take it in and out. So that's right. I would love a good dinner, but you know what? We just don't have enough time. We'll do in and out, and then we'll head to the Cosm, and we'll just hang. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to just hanging with Blake. So
yeah, nothing wrong with that. Shout out to Blake. This I wanted to touch on. Well, there you go. Umberto's in New Hyde Park next.
I have been there. It's very good. I have been to Umberto's. It's very, very good. There's also a place in Garden City that I'm missing right now off the top of my head, but Water Zooey was very good. I don't know if that's still there. I want to say Water Zooey is still there, but it's Novita in Garden City is very good as well. So check that out. Go ahead.
You really need to just do a whole like Anthony Bourdain style show where you just travel Long Island and give your best picks, Drew's delicacies.
So Blake has been to the house, and I make a full spread on Sundays. It's chicken piccata, it's homemade meatballs, it's homemade pasta, it's homemade sauce. Everything's obviously from scratch, hence homemade. But I'm a big, like I said, I love food, and my kitchen here is a work of art, truthfully. And I didn't build it, but whoever built it, like God bless him, because it's a work of art.
Oh, well, you learn something new every day here on Drew and Juice, the culinary cuisine of one Drew Baydella.
I do, Ben. I do see WWE going to Australia. Maybe not in 2025, but I definitely see them going to Australia.
Yeah, because they were just there last year. So
yeah. So I think they'll go back. But I think they'll go back.
Although they, doing France 2 years in a row, That's
why I like any restaurant in Detroit, Michigan. This is getting into a food show, and Juice is like rubbing his eyes, but
it's fine. Well,
I'm going to make a statement. I'm going to make a statement here about something, and I think a lot of people could be like, "Are you kidding me?" But I'm going to say something. My two favorite styles of pizza are New York and not Chicago. Chicago sucks. It is Detroit style pizza. Detroit style pizza is so underrated. It is so good. So good. I love Detroit style pizza. Chicago pizza sucks. It's like pizza pot pie. Miss me with it. I have no interest in it. I'm a big fan of Detroit style pizza. Love it.
Wow. So I don't even know if I want to dive into this, but Vesuvio in New Jersey. What is that?
It's a Sopranos reference.
I was gonna say it doesn't sound real. Oh, brother.
Yes.
All right. So can we tackle the Rumble? You think, or we want to talk?
Yeah, we're done with the food.
Talk more turkey.
We're done with the food stuff.
So I want to do something real quick before we go truthfully into the Rumble. I want to just get your take on this as a whole. Last week, Monday Night Raw in Atlanta, where it's a hotbed for hip hop, and I'm a huge hip hop fan. I have found out that you are a hip hop guy, as well, more of a classic hip hop guy. I don't know how current you are, but seeing Quavo come out with Jey Uso now, that's two different artists of huge, celebrity status coming out with Jey Uso. I mean, who's going to be next? Is this ever going to end where Jey Uso goes to these towns and insert celebrity or rapper or what have you? It's clear that he's number one marketability, even if he's not champion, he's main event Jey Uso. I mean, what other hip hop artists would you like to see out there with him, Drew?
Dr. Dre.
If they go out to LA, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'd love to see Eminem.
Well, too bad they're not going to Detroit. They could have pulled that off.
Vegas.
I think for Vegas they're gonna do Travis Scott again. They might
for sure. I'm trying to think of who, I'm more of like a Cameron type of fan, so I'd love to see maybe like them with Jay, but Cameron's not really mainstream anymore in terms of like the rap game. So like I was thinking about for MetLife, he could do Young Gravy if he comes here to Minnesota, but I don't really know if that's gonna work.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah. So for me,
not to the level of Quavo and Travis Scott.
No, not even close. Not even close. I mean, those guys are just on a completely different level. So for me, it's, I think Jay's, those type of things are showing you where WWE's viewing Jay. Yeah. So, I will tell you this though, speaking of celebrities and everything else like that, I will say, Kai and I Show Speed.
Oh yeah.
I am willing to bet good money that one or both are going to actually be in the Royal Rumble this Saturday in Indy. And I wouldn't be surprised they have a little GoPro on them and they're filming that experience and everything else like that.
So I brought this up on the Juice Box, talking to Labar and Eisenberg, where them bringing in I Show Speed, who is arguably the biggest streamer in the world. Everywhere he goes, thousands of people follow him, want to go and find him, hang out with him, just see him in general. So for him to be backstage at WWE at the Royal Rumble, he'll be streaming the whole time. He'll be seeing all these different superstars. And I'm sure he's going to get announced to come down to the ring. And if he's streaming at the same time, the maximum amount of people around the world, whether they are wrestling fans or not, that just watch what he does, are going to be watching the Royal Rumble by proxy. And if he can turn more people on to wrestling, somehow it's going to get even bigger. And I love that. And, miss me with the, well, I don't know, he's not a wrestler. Okay, well, Bad Bunny's not a wrestler either, and he killed it. And Logan Paul wasn't a wrestler, and he's one of the best pro wrestlers currently going. And he might go pretty far in this Royal Rumble when we talk about it. And, plenty of celebrities have been part of wrestling for so long, and this is where we're at right now. And it would be derelict of duty for WWE to have I Show Speed streaming backstage and not take the chance of, wow, what if we just called him to the ring in the Rumble and he had a camera on, or even a phone with him or a GoPro, and that is streamed to it. This might be crazy, but it might be streamed to more people on Speed's stream than would be on Peacock or even at the show. I'd wager
100%.
well more. It's unbelievable visibility.
That's the thing. Like there are 100. One of them, if not both, are going to be in the Rumble where they're either have a GoPro on and it's used for vlogs or whatever, or they're going to go live with their phone and whatever else. Like it's 100% happening. 100% happening. 100%.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, it's smart business. You're a business guy. You Ticket Drew in my phone still. Never. I don't think I'll ever change that, to be honest with you. You'll always be Mr. Ticket or Mr. Ticket Drew to me. But one more thing about pseudo Rumble topics, because I know, I'm going to put you on the spot here, Drew, because I pay attention. I know things. You have since deleted this tweet, but you were critical of the song choice for the Royal Rumble.
Oh, yes.
The song being Von Dutch by Charlie XCX.
I took it down because I didn't want people to think that
because you're wrong.
Well, I mean, for me, I took it down because it was starting to get into a conversations where I was just like, nope, I'm not, I'm just out of here. So,
It's okay. It's okay to not be on top of everything, Drew. You don't have to be knowledgeable
I think the
about all
song
popular music.
choice, I think the song choice sucks.
Even though the chorus has "I'm your number one" in it, and it's about numbers in the
Choose-
Royal
Who,
Rumble.
who gives a You know how many friggin' songs I could find that have number references in them?
Yeah,
Stop.
and you know how many of those
I
were
want,
on the number one album of the entire year, and
listen,
WWE capitalizes on stuff like that.
I thought that the Raw theme song by Travis Scott is very, very good. It fits.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, 4x4
money.
is great. Yeah, sure.
It's a great show. I think the WrestleMania theme song
Yeah, Fiend.
is
Yeah,
very,
I'm the
very,
biggest Travis Scott fan you'll ever meet, Drew.
and
You don't
it
have to
and it
convince me.
fits. This song sucks. I don't need Korn. I don't need Limp Bizkit. I don't need the Deftones.
That's a whole nother. Hey, big Deftones guy. I'm a fan of all those, but I'm glad you brought up Deftones. But it's a different era. They're never going to go back to Limp Bizkit. I'm agreeing with you on that.
This song sucks. And you know what? There's a lot of different songs where when WWE puts it as a theme, and I'm like, okay, this works. So.
But here's the thing: The Weeknd has had the WrestleMania theme song 5 years in a row, and it's been just general poppy The Weeknd songs, and it is what it is. They're not traditional wrestling themes, but they're huge, and it makes sense. And again, this Triple H even capitalized on the meme saying, "Am I Brat?" Like you're not in the space. It's okay to not be a part of it, but it's not for you.
Yeah, I don't get it, and that's okay. I don't need to get it. You know who does get it? All the people that are like, oh, like, look at this song. Or some people see an ad and they're like, oh, I know that song. So I get it. I totally get it. I just thought the song, it sucked. That's all. I'm entitled to an opinion. It sucked.
Yeah. And I think your opinion sucks, Drew.
That's fine. You're entitled to it.
You're not Brat.
No. Nope. I'm not raising brats either.
This hat is Brat. Same color. Similar. Light green.
What are we doing here?
Drew, you're out of you said earlier you're how much older than me, and yet I'm trying to hang on to the zeitgeist of the world.
How do you do, young fellows? That's what you said.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. But anyway, great song. Looking forward to the Rumble. Let's talk about the Rumble. This is going to be fun. 4 matches. It's so concise. I think it's perfect. I hope they don't add another match because, like we said, probably Women's Rumble, tag title match, world title ladder match, and then you get the Men's Rumble. There's like no room to go to the bathroom and have like that breath of, oh man, this sucks. Like I think everything on this show is going to be exciting. The Rumble match sells itself. Like this show could just I know that they never do this, but they could just say the Royal Rumble is happening with no entrance advertised, and it would sell. Like people want to see the match. They want to count down from 10. They want to boo the theme musics. They want to get hyped for who's 1 and 2.
Yeah,
it's amazing. And you said it, dude. You said it's like your favorite PLE, And I would say you don't even have to count WrestleMania as that. It's in its own little land of stratosphere with PLE and branding. And I'd say Royal Rumble is that 1A.
For me, I am more excited with the unpredictability of this event than any other event.
Yeah.
That's it.
And we always say
year
that
after year.
Pro wrestling is more exciting and more enjoyable when it's unpredictable. And, for the most part, it is unpredictable. We're not bookers. We're not in the weeds. But if it's more unpredictable than general, it makes it that 10 times more exciting. And, guys that have watched wrestling for how long? Both of us, and yet I would be glued to the TV, like waiting with anticipation for each entry. You're going to be at the Cosm in a atmosphere that's never really been done before with pro wrestling. Like it's just wonderful all across the board. So let's get into the matches. Let's start off with DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, 2 out of 3 falls. They could have done a regular match, but they wanted to showcase what these 4 guys can do. And it's still kind of mind-blowing and boggling to me that the Motor City Machine Guns are wrestling in WWE, and they've already been tag champions at WWE. Like, it's wild. Let alone they are about to have a 2 out of 3 falls, pure like wrestling match with 2 of the best guys that have done that for a very long time in WWE and NXT, Gargano and Ciampa. So, do you see the title switching hands? Because I think DIY is going to not only retain these, but take them probably further to WrestleMania where we get like a multi-tag match to elevate tag division as a whole.
I think the Motor City Machine Guns win this match and regain their tag team championships. I think
I'd like to see that. I just don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I like DIY and Motor City Machine Guns kind of trading back and forth a little bit here, and I could see DIY winning them back at Mania or something to that extent. But I don't know. I'm a big Motor City Machine Gun guy. My kid loves the entrance, which means it's working. Like, absolutely loves it. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with Motor City Machine Guns.
Should show him some old TNA of Motor City Machine Guns. You got TNA Plus? You want to borrow some of my DVDs?
I don't want to borrow your DVDs, but do you have a TNA Plus login? We could talk.
I do not have TNA Plus. I'm waiting for WWE to buy TNA like everybody says, and then they'll have it on Peacock. So
right,
because they need it.
Yeah,
they need more content considering they're barely putting anything on Netflix as is.
Yep,
they're putting like pieces of old Raws, and the WWE Vault on YouTube is the place to be. That is where you're going to get content.
That's true. That YouTube page is something.
They put live shows out on certain nights where like it's scheduled ahead of time and you can kick back and watch a show uninterrupted. They have stuff you've never seen before, stuff you've only been able to get on Coliseum Home Video, like things that were way exclusive or you never even could see on Peacock or even the network before. They're putting it on the Vault, and it's shout out to them. And I think they made an NXT channel as well now where you get to see some old NXT takeovers and older footage like that. So I'm hopeful that they do something like that for WCW because let's go. But I'm not going to get too excited and get let down.
So, well, I think it's probably going to happen.
Based on what? Do you have any inside information?
With WCW going to the Vault?
Well, yeah, or they could do an ECW Vault too. They could tap into any of these.
I think they're 100% doing this. And remember, their media rights deal on their PLEs and their tape library is coming up.
Do we know what year that is?
2026.
Okay, 2026. You think they'll announce like ahead of time where it's going to go, or do you think they're just going to let the deal end and then?
No, I think the right fees are going to be up soon, like the exclusivity window and stuff like that. Like I think they're allowed to shop it very, very shortly. So.
Okay. Well, again, I'd like to see it go somewhere to.
I think Netflix is going to get it, man. All of the everything is already on Netflix international wise. I think they're just going to look to be clean.
That makes sense.
So
yeah, that's a lot of material on Netflix. I just missed the OG WWE Network. It was such an easy $10 a month. It was the easiest way to watch all that stuff. And all the pay-per-views. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I will tell you, like, there's some things that Netflix needs to switch up. Like, I like the fact that you can, go back and watch PLEs from the beginning and stuff like that, and you can kind of fast forward. You can't really do that with Raw. It's very like hit or miss at times with that whole like operating system of the Raw on Netflix. But I will tell you the best thing that I miss about the WWE Network is you could literally go segment by segment, match by match by match. And you can't do that anymore. It sucks.
You could click on any match. You could see the matches that had a former world champion that is not mentioned anymore. And it would just say blank versus Chris Jericho. And it was just like, oh my God. Like, I just love being able to go to any match, go to any segment. And it was so easy. Like, why? Yeah. It's crazy that they made it so easy, and it got more difficult as time went on. Normally, it's very difficult to start, and they clean it up.
And you get more simplistic, and it just never did. So,
yeah. So, what won't be simplistic is the ladder match for the undisputed WWE Championship and Winged Eagle Championship. That's CM Punk accurately called a replica belt, which I thought was a nice little dig at Kevin Owens. Both these titles are going to be hung above the ring. I will say this. I've said it on the Juice Box, but I'll say it right here. Kevin Owens is Mr. Royal Rumble. He had an amazing last man standing match? Something with Dean Ambrose. He had a last man standing match and a no DQ match and another match with Roman, 3 separate Royal Rumble matches. Logan Paul, he had a great match with last year at the Royal Rumble. This is Kevin Owens' big, PLE to shine. And in a ladder match, he had ladder wars with El Generico and Ring of Honor, and PWG, he had ladder matches. He's wonderful. And I think this is going to be a spot fest, to say the least. I think some injuries could happen. I hope they don't. But I do see Cody walking out as champion still. And to your point, I think it would be fun to have Kevin Owens, lose this, be pissed off, go into the Rumble and see what happens there. My question to you is there any outside chance of Shawn Michaels being involved in this some way? Because I just have a weird feeling, he got the sweet chin music from Shawn Michaels this past week. I thought he was going to give him a stunner. It kind of got reversed on me. But could he bring Shawn Michaels out of retirement?
I mean, if Kevin some way, shape, or form gets Shawn to wrestle at WrestleMania, then Kevin's got the best WrestleMania resume ever. And I don't know how he negotiates, but boy, I got to sit under that one and like figure out like, what did you do? How did you do this? And teach me. I mean, having Steve Austin and then Shawn Michaels on one-on-one matches and bringing them both out of retirement in, under 5 years would have been crazy. So no, I don't see that happening. I don't think Shawn's involved physically, but I could see Cody winning and Shawn standing at the entrance ramp, like clapping or something, or, whatever, or they follow Cody backstage and Shawn gives him a hug.
Because LeBart brought this up of what if he were, even if he's out there, but whatever, it just distracts KO. He's pissed. And because of that, he loses this match. He goes to NXT and lays waste to some people backstage and tries to bait Shawn Michaels, whether it's Shawn Michaels or someone from NXT handpicked to go against KO,
maybe.
Like
Maybe, but what I'll say to that is that I think Kevin is going into a program with Randy for WrestleMania. I think
that
Kevin
is probably more likely. So you don't see you're still sticking with Cody Cena and not Cody Orton just yet, because that has to happen before Orton hangs
I don't think Cody Orton is happening. Not at Mania.
Ever?
I think it happened. No, it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to happen at WrestleMania this year.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You still think it's Cody Cena? Yes,
Blake. If Kevin Owens gets Stone Cold Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels out of retirement, yeah. I'm not talking about wins and losses. I'm not talking about that. And I'm not talking about like this or that. I mean, we're talking about Kevin Owens having
We're talking about
matches.
Practice.
Talking about Kevin Owens having single matches and pulling these people out of retirement. Two guys that should never, in all honesty, I would never think they're coming out of retirement. He gets Shawn and Steve. Give me a break.
The level of trust that Kevin Owens has to have for that to happen is why it's so big of like such a big deal. Like Steve Austin going, you know what?
Austin could have worked with anybody. Cena, Orton. He worked with
I will have a match with Kevin Owens and take a suplex on the floor outside.
Right.
Like Kevin Owens is like a more safe but unsafe working version of the Miz. Like he won't hurt you, but he'll make it look wonderful, and you can have a street fight or whatever.
And for that, like for Blake's thing, I'm wild for the claim. Like if you really think about it, Taker never had a match with both Shawn and Austin at WrestleMania. Never happened. He had a match with Shawn, but he never had a match with Steve at WrestleMania. The Undertaker never did.
He had three with Triple H. Yeah.
Right. So we can name another one too. Bret Hart never had a match at Mania against Taker. Had a match with Shawn. Never had a match with Taker. Stone Cold.
And he had a match with Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Right. Stone Cold Steve Austin had a match with obviously Bret. Never Taker. Never Cena.
I know. Never
First
Punk.
Rock. Never Punk. So I mean, that resume would be right up there with a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, that would just it'd be wild to see. I doubt that it happens, but if anybody could do it, it would be Kevin Owens. Like again, they seem to trust him.
I don't even think John Cena's had a match with both Shawn and Taker at Mania. Oh no, he had.
Yes,
John
he did.
Cena.
I mean,
that quick match, which was ridiculous.
Sure.
But yeah, sure.
Sure, he had a match with Taker at Mania. He was sitting in the crowd, and they immortalized that as a figure.
I'm not talking about wins
clothes.
I'm not talking about wins and losses. I'm talking about resume.
Oh no, we're talking
wild.
Wins and losses here, Drew. We're sickos here. We're talking AEW and WWE. It's what we're doing. So, yeah, I see Cody walking out here. We brought again. I keep bringing up the juice box. Let's just put me over now. It's interesting that Cody comes back to WWE. The first year, it's like re-debuting at WrestleMania, right? The next year, he gets a world title opportunity and he's chasing and he loses. The next year, same opportunity, but he wins. So the fourth year will be another different thing. He will go in as champion. You want to maximize every different avenue with your top guys. And I'd love to see Cody being that guy. He's at the top of his game. Who wants to go against Cody at the end of it all. So we'll talk about that here in a moment. So I think it's pretty safe to say that Cody's going to retain. But I think the match will be, I mean, I think it'll steal the show if you can steal a 4-match card with 2 of them being Rumbles. But I think they're going to go above and beyond what the norm would be for a world title match. So I'm here for it. I'm also here for the Women's Royal Rumble. This has been wonderful that they've added a second Royal Rumble. The women's roster has been loaded for a while, and it's only getting more stacked, year by year. And they do more than just Raw and SmackDown. They bring in legends. They bring in NXT. They bring in TNA. They bring in whoever the hell they want these days. Only 10 women have been announced so far, and I'll quickly run them down. Nia Jax, Bayley, Charlotte, Naomi, Bianca, Liv, Raquel, Lyra Valkyria, Ivy Nile, Io Sky. That's only 10 of the 30. So I love that. And they've only announced 15 for the men. Who do you got as some surprises? I'm sure Jordan Grace will be involved there. If you want to give me a final 4, that'd be cool. And then give me your ultimate winner for the women. Because this is going to be intriguing, man. And especially if it opens up the show, it's going to be a hot start.
I'm going to go with my final 4 being Jordan Grace, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and just for shits and giggles, AJ Lee.
Okay. So what were the first 2? I'm sorry. I was so shocked by the last one.
Jordan Grace, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, AJ Lee.
And who do you see winning the whole damn kit and caboodle?
Charlotte Flair. I could absolutely see Jordan winning. I think it would send shockwaves. I think it would send shockwaves, and I'd love to see Jordan versus Rhea. I think we're headed there eventually. Sooner rather than later. I think it would send shockwaves, but I could see Charlotte winning it and Jordan having a really good showing in the Women's Rumble, like a really good showing in terms of.
I think she'll have a good showing regardless. Yeah, whether she wins it or not. How about some surprises? I mean, we talked. I've heard maybe a Nikki Bella could come in. We got. I suggested maybe a Molly Holly, Victoria. You got Trish potentially. Anybody that you see coming in that might be off. I mean, AJ Lee would be wonderful because CM Punk's been there now for over a year.
So I'll say this:
it's worth it. Come back. Let's do a one-off.
If we're talking surprises, then again, this is all hypothetical. This is all my opinion. I'm going to go with AJ Lee, Nikki Bella, Jordan Grace, Trish Stratus, and Becky Lynch. Those are 5 surprises. So there you go.
So, I mean, and Jordan Grace technically isn't TNA anymore. Now, she's
WWE. So, and I'm going to say this. I think Punk is very smart. I think AJ Lee and WWE are absolutely talking and negotiating. I think this kind of pushes the look at the fans want it. I don't think there's any plans for her currently in the Rumble, but I'm just having fun. And I will say that I think, it's the WWE. Anything Kenan will happen in the World Wrestling Federation. So for me, AJ Lee absolutely could show up, and I'm actually wanting it at this point.
And as if they would need to do this, but it's almost like a litmus test of, let's see if she's still got it and the fans want it. And I think it's almost rhetorical because they know that they would go nuts for her. But why not have that moment? Even if it's for a one night only. Who knows what one night can turn into. You can have her come back and if she wants to wrestle again, who knows? But if it's just a one-off and a great moment, the Royal Rumble is based off of stuff like that. And I think it would be really cool to see. My final 4, because I agree with you. I also want to know about this. Is Jade Cargill going to return at this show? Or is she still laying on that car?
Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of discourse here in the chat about Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens has only, I want to say this. Kevin Owens has only been a part of, I think, 7 WrestleManias, and I'm going to list his opponents, okay? He was in a ladder match that had The Miz, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, blah, blah, blah. Jericho, Shane McMahon, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins, Steve Austin, Jimmy and Jey Uso, Randy Orton, and Logan Paul. That is a hell of a resume if you add Shawn Michaels to it at the end of that. Now, I understand, take her this and take her that, but that was during that era. Kevin Owens is pulling 2 legends out of retirement. That's why it's impressive.
And I say this with 0 disrespect. I had the fortunate, I got to interview Kevin Owens. I also filmed an interview with Kevin Owens. I love Kevin Owens. He is not your normal pro wrestler. The Undertaker is a legend. Kevin Owens will go in the Hall of Fame, of course, but like Kevin Owens is just the everyday guy. He looks like a regular guy. He doesn't, he wears shorts to the ring and tank tops and bizarre shirts, and he screams all the time, and he's got some tattoos. Like, he's not your traditional pro wrestler. So for WWE to trust in him and give him all these opportunities, clearly, not only is he worth it to them, but he's doing something right all the time.
Yeah, right.
And they have to know, because we've talked about it a little bit. If he were to go to AEW, he would thrive there. It's definitely something that, it'd be more his speed to be like a PWG, like where he could have more creative, license and be more nuts and have, less of a filter. And I think WWE goes, hey, well, he's doing great here and we like what he's doing here. So let's keep him around and not let him even have that opportunity. And he's working with Sammy and he's got all these different things. He's had great moments with Roman too. I think he's just, thrived in WWE, and it's wonderful to see. He's now been on the main roster for, I think this will be 10 years. 10 years since he defeated John Cena at Elimination Chamber back in May of 2015 as NXT champion. So, I mean, Kevin Owens, man, he's just wonderful. So I think he's more than willing to get a higher level of resume for WrestleMania if he were to pull Shawn Michaels out of retirement to clean up that Saudi Arabia match. Yeah. So discourse be damned. I think he would deserve it. But Jade Cargill, back to that. Do you think she's potentially back to return here? Because we got to figure out who done it. Was it Naomi? Was it Bianca? Did Jade do it on purpose and like onto herself and frame someone? What happens with that?
It's very interesting. I
or
think
do they even pay it off at this show?
I think it's time. I think it's time for Bianca to turn heel. A lot of people they'll never do it because she makes, she does all this stuff with merch, and I'm like, I get it, but
Montez ain't turning heel anytime soon. Someone's got to do it in their family.
Yeah, for me, that's where I'm at. I think it happens. I think it happens. So I don't know. Yeah. I think Bianca is the attacker, and I think she turns heel. So
I think Bianca would be great as a heel. She's done so much as a babyface and can easily go back at any time and sell all the merch she wants. Like, it's not going to hurt her character or career in any way. So my final four, as a matter of fact, Bianca, Liv Morgan, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch. I think Becky and Liv, they have their issues. Liv's been on a roll, but at the height of her powers, why wouldn't she want to get back to, the world title in Rhea? Bianca potentially, you could have Jade come in and find out Bianca was the one that did it in the match and Bianca throw her out and have that ascension as a top heel. But yeah. Charlotte coming back. I think it's inevitable to get Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton. I think that'll be a wonderful match at WrestleMania if they pull that off. So give me Charlotte Flair to be the first two-time Women's Royal Rumble winner.
I'm with you.
That's my pick there. So
I like it.
I'm looking forward to it, but let's cut down to brass tacks. Men's Royal Rumble. Even though Vince is not here, it's always fun to get to that gravelly Rumble.
It's time to rumble.
Those introductions were always great whenever, the Warlord. And he would
it's WrestleMania. Yeah, those were good.
So quickly, the 15 announced for the men, and damn it, almost every person here I could see winning it. That's how crazy this is for this year. LA Knight, Cena, Punk, Jey Uso, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Drew, Ray, Sammy, Shinsuke, Logan Paul, Penta, Chad Gable, Braun Breaker, and Carmelo Hayes. Any of those guys, like reading off the names Punk, Cena, Seth, Roman, like all in a row, and they're all in the same match is absolutely insane.
It's nuts. And, I was talking to somebody and they were like, I forget what Rumble they said was better than, 92. And I was like, okay, whatever. I don't hate that. But for me, the 09 Rumble, or maybe I think it was 09 or 08. I'd have to go back and look. I don't remember. But the one from Madison Square Garden where John Cena returned. If you go back and look at that Rumble, it was star-studded. Shawn, Taker, Piper, Punk, Triple H, Batista.
I thought you put Piper in there.
Hey, he's in it.
Snuka, wasn't he in there?
Yep.
Because Punk was marveling at it.
And then John Cena. like it's nuts. Like that stuff was, and John Cena was such a good surprise. This Rumble has so many
it was the greatest surprise of all time until Edge came back.
Right. So many heavy hitters in that Rumble in 08. And I think this Rumble is going to rival that. There is a ton of main event talent here. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited for it. I am, totally excited to watch this Rumble and see everything that goes into the men's Rumble match. And I've stood on it. I'm going to stay on it just because I'm either Punk or I'm Cena, and I'm going to go with, it makes more sense for John to lose this and then enter the Chamber. It really does.
Because what is he going to, he's already announced for Chamber, and let's say if he's not, he's not going to host the show. So he's going to be in something.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, I have to feel as if John Cena is going to come oh so close now. And I believe that CM Punk will win it. I still believe we're headed for John Cena and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. I still believe we're headed to Punk and Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. How we get there, I don't know. But
because Gunther would have to lose between now and then. You don't see Punk Gunther,
and Punk
or maybe a triple threat.
Punk said, "I'm coming for you." But the funny thing is that once, I don't think Punk's going to make a decision right after he wins the Rumble.
Oh, hell no. He'll play that up for a while.
I think if Gunther loses that championship at, on the way to Chamber,
wherever,
Chamber, I think that's when Punk's mind changes and he goes, "No, I'm taking everything away from Seth Rollins."
That's my
storyline wise.
It's interesting to I agree with you, but I want to know how they get to Seth getting a world title opportunity and then winning it. Maybe it's at Chamber, maybe that match happens at Chamber. And look at this. I mean, Raw is on Netflix now. Every episode's huge. So it very well could happen on an episode of Raw. That's what I'm actually here for, is we're on such a high level of where Raw is. You can get back to, maybe not the title switches every other week in 99, but you can have a title change, a world title change hands on Raw would be unbelievable in this day and age. So
it definitely would. Yeah, definitely would. And I think we're Punk, Rollins, Cody, Cena, Roman, Rock. That's where I think we're headed for WrestleMania.
So who do you got as any surprises? We got 15 announced. So 15 are left. I love when they give, half is great, where we, plenty of room for surprises, legends. Could there be a TNA star in there? I think there will be, and I think it's pretty obvious. But who do you got?
This is again just my, predictions. This is for me for fun. This isn't something where I'm telling you what's going to happen. I think we're going to have a good amount of surprise entries here. I'm going to go with a couple names off the top of my head. I'm going to say Jeff Hardy. I'm going to say
that would be major.
100%. 100%. I think Jeff's going to be in
it. Give him a moment with him and CM Punk in the ring, because they had a huge feud back in 09. I'd love to just see them face off.
I think it'd be really cool if Jeff's number one and somebody else's number two. That way Jeff can get a proper entrance and use his old what's that theme song? Riding on the wild.
Man, there we go. Oh, that's better than Von Dutch by Charlie. Yeah, let's make that the theme song for Royal Rumble next year.
Get off it. I'm going to say that we're gonna have Jeff Hardy. I'm going to say Mick Foley. I'm going to say, yep. I am going to say another name that I'll throw out there just for fun. I'm going to say Kenny.
I'll tell you this: if Mick Foley, why would he? I can't. That's blowing my mind. What gives you any inclination?
I'm going Jeff Hardy. I'm going Mick Foley. I'm going I'm going to go Ken Anderson.
Oh my God.
And
really, well, wait, Ken Anderson or Mr. Kennedy? He has to come back as Mr. Kennedy. He's going to be in WWE. That'd be huge.
Yeah. And I'm going to say, I think that's probably it for surprises. Maybe I'm leaving out an obvious one. The streamers I named are going to be in it too. So
true. I think Joe Hendry could be number one.
I think Joe Hendry will be in the Rumble too. Yes.
Yeah. I think he could come out at number 1 or 2 because everybody knows the song. And
then I don't think Aleister Black. Yeah, I don't think Aleister Black's going to be there, man.
I think Aleister Black has a better chance of being there than Mick Foley.
I don't know if Alistair, like, I think they're factoring him, like, he'll be there for WrestleMania, but I do not think that he'll be there for.
But why is Mick Foley in? Who is he? Who is he challenging for the world title?
He's not going to win the world title.
Well, then why is he in the match? Don't you want to win the match? That's why he enters.
But I mean, there's going to be 29 other people who lose.
You're just blowing my mind with that. Jeff
Did you
Hardy
see
was
The
like,
Rock?
okay.
Did you see The Rock in there?
If The Rock's in there, this is the greatest Royal Rumble lineup of all time. Because everybody we already named, and you add the guy that hasn't been in a Rumble since since he won it, 2013, or no, he wasn't even in it. He beat Punk for the title.
Who? Rock?
Yeah. Well, so when was the last time Rock was in a Rumble? 2002? I mean, he might have been in a world title match, maybe even 2001, 2000 when he won. That'd be crazy.
2001, he was in a world title match. 2000, he won the Rumble. 2002, I don't think he was in the Rumble. I don't think
Jericho
so.
defeated The Rock in a match, and then
I think that's. I don't think The Rock has been in a Rumble in a long time.
25 years. Could you?
Yeah,
that would be. You want to make waves? That I think that could be something. Again, I think The Rock is more potentially
4
in the
Royal Rumbles he's been in total.
Wow,
okay,
that's crazy.
2000 he won. He was in 97, 98, and 01.
So he was in 01. Wow.
97, 98, 2000, 2001. So he hasn't been in the Royal Rumble in 24 years.
I mean, what better time than now? Damn, that's crazy, man. I saw this in the what we got here. Omos, you think Omos could be in? There you go.
Yeah, sure.
Or Matt Cardona, do you think he potentially could be in?
Sure. That could work. Yeah.
Yeah, but it sounds like you don't. You were so, again, I'm not getting off this. You were so like dead convinced. You just flippantly were like, oh yeah, Mick Foley. He hasn't been wrestling in like years. He's going to be on Dark Side of the Ring talking about Hell in a Cell. But why? He has lost weight.
Clip it.
I saw that he lost weight.
When it happens, clip it. Send it in.
Look, I would love to see it. That would blow my mind. That's
we
like,
gonna blow your mind. That's another Rumble theme song.
That's like
blow your mind.
That's like Kevin Nash at the 2011 Rumble as Diesel.
That was 40 men though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So who's your final four, and give me a winner? Mick Foley, Jeff Hardy.
I will tell you that you need to pay attention to this year's Royal Rumble, just like you should have been paying attention to years ago's Royal Rumbles as well. They're very, very telling. I'm going to say the final four in this year's Rumble are CM Punk, Roman Reigns, John Cena, and Seth Rollins.
Speed.
Seth Rollins.
Okay. And who you got winning? CM Punk?
CM Punk, unfortunately. I think, and I'm a big Punk guy, but I think it's
why do you say it's unfortunate? What do you think?
I would like to see John win just because it was like it'd be cool.
Cena's gonna get his 17th world title win 20 years after he got his first one. I think that's cooler than winning a Rumble for he would have 3. That would. I know
a lot of people a lot of people want The Rock in this thing. I don't know. I don't know.
Challenge Cody, I guess, but The Rock challenges Gunther.
I think The Rock could be a part of this show, and I think he could cost Roman the Rumble.
I think the bloodline at large, including potentially The Rock, are gonna cost Roman because it's every man for himself, and as they just walk out and stand around the ring, what are they gonna not, jump him? My final four: John Cena, CM Punk, Logan Paul, and Jey Uso. I think Jey Uso goes very far in this. I think, they could strap the rocket to him and he doesn't have to win anything. He just has to go far. Whether that's, I would also like to see him get introduced early and have the lengthy run and people think, wow, he really could do it. Just to build him up even more. Like, why not? Because I would wager, even at some point, especially now that there's 2 world titles, I think Jey Uso eventually does win a world title.
I think Jey Uso has a really good showing in the Rumble. But I would make sure that you and everybody else pays attention to like who the final 6 are. going back years, myself and Blake did this. Like, it is very important to pay attention to that because those men 9 times out of 10 have a really good year.
I'm gonna say, unless you're Brian Knobs in the Final Four of the '90 Rumble.
Okay, yeah. And the other thing I'm going to tell you is that Jacob Fatu, boy, when he's in it, he's gonna put on a show too if he's in it, and they're gonna make sure to keep him strong. So
yeah, when Braun Strowman will probably not be in the Rumble.
I could see them putting him in the Rumble and Jacob Fatu being like, "I thought I killed this guy." So
he's not finished with you yet.
But man, they made Jacob from Braun. It was a big deal.
And I saw people being like, "Oh, like the fans are cheering the heel. This is not how it works." Okay, like, what do you want them to do? They're excited that this is an exciting moment. Like, get over it being heel face.
Those people suck. The people that constantly do that for me, like, it's like, if it wasn't for the product that was, put in front of you, what would you have to talk about? Nothing.
We would have nothing.
Stop bitching. Go take a different approach. Stop bitching. But that's it. I think that's it for our Rumble predictions. Let's take some questions.
I have CM Punk throwing Cena out, by the way. That's my finish. I think Cena gets too close. I love to see Cena, Punk, whether they have a match in this farewell tour or not. I want to just see them face to face one more time. It's going to be electric. Everything now, starting Saturday with John Cena, is going to be can't miss because it's likely gonna be it.
This is episode 4, but my final 3 will be John Cena, Roman Reigns, and CM Punk. And Roman Reigns is eliminated by either like the bloodline type of stuff where, Jacob's supposed to go to the back and he doesn't, The Rock or whatever. There's going to be some sort of shenanigans, in my opinion, with that.
What about Paul Heyman's favor? Because my thing is, how can Paul Heyman give Punk that favor if Roman's not the champion? Like, he can't just give him something. So is Heyman going to, like, pull someone out of the ring? Like, what could that be in play here? Is Roman just going to walk out of the ring to help Punk? Like, that's not going to happen. I wonder if that favor is going to come into play if they still play up on that.
Oh, we'll see.
So, yeah, let's get to these questions as we close out week 4 of the
let's do it.
Drew and Juice.
Yeah.
What do we got here on the
guys and girls, if you have any questions, throw them up here right now. We will get to them in the order they have been received. Let's do it. Juice. I'm a big hockey guy. The Islanders have won 6 in a row. They're starting to get hot. Wait and see what happens.
The Penguins are not doing that, and I want them to get rid of everybody except Crosby and rebuild, and maybe they'll have a chance with younger talent. So more power to the Islanders. I am the biggest fan of the Fisherman jersey. So even if I don't like the team, I can respect that throwback jersey. It's one of my favorite jerseys of all time. I wish they'd make it more permanent.
I have the new version of the Fisherman. And
did they do practice with that jersey?
They did, but they brought it back.
Is it like a third jersey now?
It's not one of their active ones, but yes, they have it.
Well, if they ever
as soon as they made it available, I grabbed it.
If they ever do like a stadium series, they should just run with that.
Their stadium series stuff sucked the last time they did it.
Wasn't it the NY that looked like the Giants? Yeah. Is that what that? I didn't mind that. I thought that was a unique play off the New York Giants like logo, but and then Blake says here hockey stinks. Well, maybe because Dallas is never doing anything. Ever since 1999. So,
let's see. What do we got? What female talent do you see? I don't
any more from TNA. Well, again, only 10 have been announced, so I think it could be there's a wealth of talent there. I mean,
I just don't.
Do they dare? Do they dare bring in Tessa Blanchard?
No,
I don't think so either.
I think that's a lot. A lot of heat. I know Blake would love it. Blake loves Tessa.
Well, his fellow Texans did not. So,
could Josh Alexander be in the Rumble? Possibly.
I could see him maybe being in the Rumble. Again, it could just be a one-off. And now that it's, TNA and WWE literally have an active partnership.
Right.
These guys don't have to be in WWE every week to be in the Rumble one time. Like, they can make a great moment. Could we see Nick Nemeth in the Royal Rumble? And if he were to show up, is he Nick Nemeth representing TNA, or is he Dolph Ziggler for one night only?
That's a good question.
You brought that up with Ken Anderson. Of course, he's going to be Mr. Kennedy, you know, like, but Matt Cardona would come in and they'd have to say, well, Zack Ryder is dead, but Matt Cardona's reinvented himself. Like any of these guys that have been both. Now it's like, well, what do you play up if they're, you know, in the Rumble?
That's true. I don't know. Like, what character iteration could they be? That's a good question. I don't think Nemeth's in it though.
Okay.
I just don't see it.
PCO will not be.
No.
Oh, what a disaster. For more than one reason.
Yeah, PCO did not do himself any favors with that one.
No, he didn't. He also missed the title when he was hitting it the first couple of times. Oh, yeah. Julia, Stephanie Vacour, I think they both will be in there from NXT.
Oh, well, I mean, that's not...
Yeah, but we didn't even bring them up.
I think that's a guarantee.
I don't know if we can put him up there, but it says, could Brock Lesnar be the favor? He eliminates Roman and Cena and then himself.
I don't think they touch.
Right, but let's say that would happen. The only part of that, there's no way Brock Lesnar like throws himself out of the ring. I don't see that being a part of Brock Lesnar's character. He's coming to matches when he's not in the match and won the match. He's not just going to eliminate himself from a match. Like
there's the Islander jersey.
Oh yeah. That's wonderful. I love it. I love every single second of it.
I don't think Brock Lesnar's anywhere near WWE ring until the Grant stuff with Vince is settled.
Yeah, it needs to be kind of put away for them to even consider that. So.
All right, boys and girls. Yeah, I don't think so either. All right, boys and girls, it's been fun. This was 2 hours almost, talking about the Royal Rumble and some other things. Juice is going with, for the men, say it again.
CM Punk.
I'm right there with him. I'm going with Charlotte Flair for the women. Who are you going with?
Woo!
Charlotte Flair. Okay.
Charlotte Flair.
I'm going with Cody. You're going with Cody?
Cody, yeah. And
then
we
differentiate. Yeah, we differentiate on Motor City Machine Guns and DIY. I'm going with Motor City, and you have DIY.
I got DIY, yeah.
Right.
It'll be a hell of a match, I'll tell you that.
The men's random Royal Rumble drawing that I had, $10, 300 to first place is done, completed. All the numbers are out. I will do the women's tomorrow morning. Keep it locked. I'll have a cup of espresso, and I'll do the random drawing, and I'll answer some questions.
That doesn't sound like you, Drew. I have espresso. You've never had espresso.
Never. Blake, when I get off that plane, there better be espresso waiting. Or it's your ass, pal. I appreciate it. This was kind of just, we wanted to do a Royal Rumble show and had some, other stuff to talk about. A lot of people are in Indy right now. Wishing them the best. Get all the content you possibly can. Get all the interviews you possibly can. I am very much looking forward to the Cosm in Dallas. I don't think it's gonna disappoint, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a hell of an experience. I'm looking forward to your firsthand account of it all on Twitter. That'll be fun.
We'll have some live videos. We'll have some footage. I'll put it up on my X, my Twitter, and maybe me and Blake will do a quick live stream there for a little bit, and then I will be doing something with the Wrestle Votes guys on Royal Rumble Saturday. So keep it locked. See you guys and girls there. Juice. Why don't you tell everyone where they could subscribe, and follow you?
That's right. The Juice Box every single Friday. This week we had an episode on Tuesday revisiting the Royal Rumble history with Josh Eisenberg. And then today we had the Royal Rumble prediction show with yours truly, Josh Eisenberg and Justin LaBar, a little CSR Chair Shot Reality reunion. And additionally, specifically for the Royal Rumble, check it out on my page at Juicy Steen. I'm partnering with a company called Pool Party Gaming, where they do, football pools and college football pools, and they're partnering with me to do the Royal Rumble pool. It's a pick 'em, but it's free to play. It's free to win. It's not just picking who wins the Rumble and what different spots and stuff. And no, shade on that. That's wonderful. The Royal Rumble lends itself to being a wonderful component to playing, different types of games and guessing who wins and all these other things. But Pool Party has over-unders and, who could come in from either 1 to 7 or from 14 to 20, all these different things. It's free to play, free to win, and sign up before Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And you have a chance to win a WWE Shop t-shirt of your choosing. any size that you want, whatever design you pick. If you win, that's what you get. So good luck. Sign up.
There you go. Good luck. Sign up.
Hell yeah.
You can like, subscribe, and follow me right there. It's at Andrew Bidala. Keep it locked for the Royal Rumble weekend. I'll be at the Cosm, like I've said about 9,000 times. This is my prediction show. Maybe I'll put out a quick video before I hop on the jet and head out on Saturday. But again, the women's Royal Rumble random drawing, $10. It is completely full. Gets you one entry, $300 in first place, winner take all. I'll do that tomorrow while I have some espresso. Keep it locked here. Juice, this was fun. Episode 4 in the books.
Hell yeah.
I hope you guys and girls have a safe weekend. If I don't hear or see from you until then, Royal Rumble's my favorite. I hope you guys enjoy that. Again, it's just so unpredictable. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and follow Final Bell Media, where this is being broadcasted on their YouTube page. And make sure you subscribe and follow Juice and myself. Again, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Juice, I'll talk to you probably tomorrow.
Yeah, hell yeah, brother. Enjoy your travel.
Thanks, buddy. See ya.